Hi, this is Dr. Justin Marchegiani here, and today's talk is going to be on nutritional trends over the last 20 or 30 years. Looking at carbohydrate, protein, and fat trends, these general macronutrient trends, which is going up and which is going down. So I'm going to pose the question to everyone before I give you the answer. What trends do you think are going up regarding protein, fat, and carbohydrate? So think about it. I'm going to give you the answer in just a second. So all the data is going to be pulled from the NHANES data. This is a study that took place over the course of these 1971 to 2006, and it's one of the most comprehensive data pools that are out there. And essentially this came from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. They were looking at trends in carbohydrate, fat, and protein intake. And they were looking at it in normal weight, overweight, as well as obese individuals. So what actually came out from the data? Well, we were able to find out that carbohydrate actually increased 44 to 48.7%, so about 4.7%. Fat actually went down. This shocks most people. Our consumption of fat has actually dropped 36.6 to 33.7. I know most people are blaming cancer and heart disease and all these different things on additional fat, and we even have protein studies in the news today blaming things on protein. You can see protein decreased from 16.5 to 15.7. Yet calories as a whole have gone up. And why is that? Well, most of the calories are coming from carbohydrate, especially processed, refined carbohydrate that's easy to access. It's in primarily sugar, refined sugar form, ideally in packages and labeled. And we're not going to see it in whole food type of products like vegetables and fruit. You're going to see it in junk carbohydrate. And again, this is interesting. Trends were identical across normal weight, overweight, and obese groups. So if you're thinking, oh, well, it's the normal weight people that were throwing it off from the obese, that's not true. The trends were identical across the board. And there was even a 1% increase in the percentage of energy from protein, and it was associated with a decrease in energy intake. So essentially what they mean by that is the people that ate more protein actually took in less calories in general. So protein actually caused calories to go down as a whole. So going to the next study here, this is CDC Data, and this is looking at between the 70s. What it's actually looking at here is you see men and you see women, and you can see total carb and fat, so you don't quite get the protein content in here. But what you'll notice is when we look at the carbohydrate, it's a growing trend, 1039 to 1282. Even in the females, 700 to 969. And then when we look at fat as well, fat's actually dropping. Fat's actually dropping in the men. And the women, fat goes up slightly, but as a percentage, you're going to see carbohydrate go up significantly more, 269 versus, I want to say 65 or so there. But in general, the calories go up 1542 in women to 1877, and then in men it goes up about the same. But the biggest trend I think that needs to be focused on is the increase in carbohydrate across the board, and relatively speaking, a decrease in fat for the men and a relative small increase for the women. But as a whole, when you kind of factor everything out over the last 30 years, what you're going to find is carbohydrate has significantly gone up and fat for the most part has actually gone down. Maybe in some places it's gone up just slightly. And this is really important. We have a debate here. The last 20 or 30 years, fat has been the enemy. Ever since 1966, when Senator George McGovern convened this dietary guideline group to basically say, hey, fat is bad, and putting that message out there, this study, this editorial really put some great information out there. It was in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, and what they found was eating less saturated fat has been a resounding health message for the last 30 years. That's what I've kind of been reiterating. Saturated fat has been demonized primarily due to its impact on cholesterol. So where this came from was we knew that increasing saturated fat increased cholesterol. We knew that. We could first measure that in the 50s and 60s. What they forgot to add into the equation is that eating saturated fat also increases HDL, and it increases the large, fluffy pattern A type of LDL. So it's actually a net neutral. So if LDL goes up from eating saturated fat, it's really a net neutral because HDL also goes up, and the good kind of cholesterol goes up too. But again, this editorial, the author concluded, recent studies suggest that it's time to reevaluate dietary guidance on the role of saturated fat in the diet and its relationship to health. Wave of new research suggests that we may have the wrong culprit as obesity and diabetes rates are at epidemic proportions and heart disease continues to be the nation's #1 cause of death. This is important because conventional medicine is just throwing out more drug solutions, and these drugs also have significant side effects. So we really need a nutritional solution out here. And the message is just so ingrained in everyone's head. It's hard to get this information out because it's impossible, to go over this saturated fat or this fat message. It's just so propagandized into people's brains, it's almost impossible to say, hey, fat is good. It's like, it feels like a four-letter word. But the research is showing that saturated fats, especially from organic animal, healthy animal sources, are good for you. And the research is showing that. So what we need to put our focus and energy on is eating high-quality fats and cutting the refined carbohydrates, especially the refined sugar and refined grains, out of your diet. That's going to make a huge step in the right direction in decreasing your chance of succumbing to these chronic diseases, and also decreasing your chance of inflammation. This is Dr. Justin here signing off. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more information about myself, my website, check the information below the video tab. Thanks. Have a great day.